to a new live lesson from your channel Pure English. So, as the title suggests, in today's live lesson, we shall be explaining one of the most important tenses in the English language, and that's the past continuous. After we already explained the past simple in the previous lesson or in the previous live lesson yesterday, today we shall be going through another important tense, and that's the past continuous. And also, we will be comparing the past continuous to the past simple in order to make sure that we can differentiate between them and that we can use each of the two tenses correctly and effectively in our speaking or in our writing. So, whenever we talk about any continuous tense, we should know that we can also call it a progressive tense. So in English, any continuous tense can also be named a progressive tense. So why is that? Simply because any continuous tense is talking about an action in progress. So if your action is in progress, this means that the action is still going on or was still going on. For example, when you talk about an action in the present continuous, this means that the action is in progress in the present. Right now, it's still in the middle. The action is still going on. If you talk about an action in the past progressive, which is the past continuous, this means that the action you're talking about was in progress at the point of time you're talking about. So the action was going on at that particular time in the past. And you can also talk about an action in the future continuous, meaning that the action will be in progress, will be going on at a particular point of time in the future. And we will be handling the future continuous when we talk about future tenses in the future. But for today, we will be tackling the past continuous or the past progressive after we have already covered the present continuous or the present progressive in a previous live lesson. Right, so we begin by the form or the structure. How do we make the past continuous or the past progressive? Like, how do we conjugate the verb? How do we make the verb into the past continuous? It's pretty simple. What you need to do is to use the past forms of the verb be, and these are was and were, and then you follow them with the present participle of the verb, which is the ing form of the verb. We talked before in a previous lesson about the ing forms of the verb, and we said that there are two types of ing forms of verbs. If your verb has an ing at the end, it's either a gerund or a present participle. So what's the difference between the two? When you add ing to your verb and it acts as a gerund, this means that your ing verb is a noun. But when you add ing to the verb and it acts in a sentence as a verb, this means that this ing form of the verb is the present participle of it. Let's have an example. You could say, for instance, reading is my main hobby. Reading is my main hobby. So reading in this particular sentence is an ing form of the verb read. But is it a noun or a verb? Well, in this sentence, I'm talking about reading as the process of reading, as the activity of reading. So reading in this particular sentence acts as a noun, so it's considered a gerund. In another sentence, you might say, I'm reading a very nice novel these days. I am reading a very nice novel these days. So reading in this specific sentence acts as a verb because it refers to the action you're doing these days, and that's the action of reading the nice novel. So reading in this sentence, although it's the same word like that in the first sentence, but in this sentence the word reading acts as a verb. You say, I am reading a very nice novel these days. So reading in this sentence is a verb, which means it's a present participle. So when we talk about the form or the structure of the past progressive or the past continuous, we say that you use the past forms of verb to be. These are was and were. And then you follow them with the present participle of the verb, and that's the ing form of the verb acting as a verb. Right. So this means that in the past progressive or in the past tense, we have two auxiliaries. These are either was or were. So you can use was or were. But does this mean that any of them can be used all the time? Does this mean that they can be used interchangeably? Of course not. Was goes with particular subjects, namely I, he, she, and it. So you use I, he, she, or it when you have a subject of those, if your subject is any of those pronouns or any other noun that's equivalent to them, we use was. So the auxiliary that you use is was if your subject happens to be I, he, or she, or it. But you use the other auxiliary, which is were, with all the other pronouns or any nouns equivalent to them. That is, we use were with we, you, and they. We use were with we, you, and they, or any other nouns equivalent to them. And in both cases, whether we're using was or were, in order to make the verb in the past continuous, we have to follow these auxiliary verbs, being was or were, with the present participle of the verb or the ing form of the verb. For instance, we say, at 2 o'clock yesterday, Sam was swimming in the pool. At 2 o'clock yesterday, Sam was swimming in the pool. So Sam is the subject in this sentence, and it can be replaced by the pronoun he, which means that we need to use the auxiliary was. So we say, Sam was swimming in the pool at 2 o'clock yesterday. You can't say Sam were, because were as an auxiliary goes with we, you, and they, whereas Sam as a subject is equivalent to the subject pronoun he or the personal pronoun he. So we have to use the auxiliary was. So we say Sam was swimming in the pool at 2 o'clock yesterday. Another example, we can say, at noon yesterday, the children were playing in the park. At noon yesterday, the children were playing in the park. So the subject in this sentence is the children, which is a noun equivalent to the pronoun they. So we have to use the auxiliary verb were. We cannot say the children was playing in the park, because the children doesn't go with was, it goes with were. So we need to say, at noon yesterday, the children were playing in the park, meaning that at that particular point of time in the past, the children were doing that action. Be careful that the past continuous doesn't refer to a finished action in the past. It's the past simple that does so. The fact of the matter is that the past progressive or the past continuous is used to refer to an action that was happening in the past at a certain point of time in the past. If you examine the two sentences that we have just said, we said that at 2 o'clock yesterday, Sam was swimming in the pool. So I didn't talk about the whole action from the beginning to the end. No, I was referring to a particular or a specific point of time in the past, and that's 2 o'clock yesterday. At that instance, the action was in progress. The action was going on with Sam swimming in the pool. In the second example, I said, at noon yesterday, and for those of you who don't know, noon is the time of 12 p.m. So when we say at noon, this means at 12 p.m. And that's why any time after 12 is called afternoon. So we call it afternoon for the fact that any time after 12 o'clock p.m. is called afternoon, because the time, which is 12 p.m., is called noon. So in the example we said, at noon yesterday, which means at 12 p.m. yesterday, the children were playing in the park. So I didn't talk in this example about the whole action of the children playing in the park. Alternatively, I was referring to a certain point of time, and that was 12 o'clock p.m. yesterday, at that certain instance, the action was going on or it was in progress and the children were playing in a park. Right. So we have a couple of spelling rules that we need to bear in mind whenever we add ing to the verb. So you have to know something. And in any continuous tense, being present continuous, past continuous, present perfect continuous, it doesn't matter. Any tense that has the word continuous in it, you must add ing to the verb. So once your tense is continuous, your verb has to take ing. This is a very important piece of information. Another important piece of information that we have referred to in a previous lesson, specifically in the comparison between the present simple and the present continuous, there is a group of verbs in English which cannot be conjugated in any continuous tense. I'm talking here about some verbs which do not take the suffix ing. They don't accept it. Verbs like love, like, understand, remember, need, want. All of these verbs do not accept the suffix ing, which means that we cannot use them in any continuous tense. And the past continuous is one of those tenses with which those verbs cannot be used. By the way, this group of verbs is known as stative verbs or state verbs. You can find a list of them online. Just type in Google or ask ChatGPT or any other chatbot from the AI world. You can ask any of these, give me a list of state verbs or a list of stative verbs, and it will give you the most important ones. Right, so you can't use the past continuous, just like any other continuous tense, with state or stative verbs. Talking of some of the spelling rules that we need to bear in mind, if your verb ends with an E, you have to remove the E before adding the suffix ing. For example, a verb like take, that's spelled T-A-K-E. So the last letter in that verb is E. In order to change it into the ing form, taking, you need to remove the E or to take out the E at the end of the word. So it becomes taking, spelled T-A-K-I-N-G. T-A-K-I-N-G. Another example of the same sort, a verb like move. Move. So this verb is spelled M-O-V-E. M-O-V-E, meaning that the last letter in the verb is the E. So to change it into the ing form of it, you need to remove the E before adding the ing, so it becomes moving, and that's spelled M-O-V-E. I-N-G, M-O-V-I-N-G. So that's the first spelling rule we need to take care of. The second one is, if your verb ends in a combination of letters that we call in grammar CVC. So I'm talking here about a verb that consists, of course, of some letters, and the last three letters of it take the pattern or the combination consonant, vowel, consonant. So what you need to do before adding the ing suffix is to double the consonant at the end of the verb. For example, a verb like stop, that's spelled S-T-O-P. Let's look at the last three letters, T-O-P. As you can see, these three letters are consonant, T, vowel, O, consonant, P. So the last three letters of the verb are top or T-O-P, C-V-C, consonant, vowel, consonant. So before you add the ing, you need to double the consonant at the end of the verb, which is the P. So stopping is spelled S-T-O-P, P-I-N-G. So we have a double P in it. Another example like that is the verb run. Run is a verb or a word that already consists of only three letters. So when you examine them, you will find that these three letters follow the pattern C-V-C. R is consonant, U is vowel, N is consonant. So when you add the ing suffix to this verb, you have to double the consonant or the N at the end of the verb, so it becomes running, and that's spelled R-U-N-N-I-N-G. R-U-N-N-I-N-G. For those of you who don't know the difference between consonants and vowels, so in English, we have 26 letters. So the English alphabet consists of 26 letters. 5 of them are vowels. These are A, E, I, O, and U. Again, we have 5 vowel letters in English. A, E, I, O, and U. Any other letter in the English alphabet apart from these 5 letters, meaning that any of the other 21 letters in the English alphabet are consonants, not vowels. The last spelling rule I'd like to flag up here is the rule for the verbs ending in the letter combination IE. A verb like lie, when somebody lies, it means that they don't tell the truth, they don't say the truth. So lie as a verb ends with the letter combination IE. What we do with these verbs is that we remove the IE at the end of the verb and we replace them with a Y, and then we add the ing. So to add ing to lie, it becomes lying, and the spelling of that L-Y-I-N-G. In the infinitive, it was L-I-E. That's the original form of the verb. But in order to add the suffix ing to it, and because the verb ends in the letter combination IE, we ought to change the IE at the end of the verb into Y, and then we add ing. So the spelling of lying becomes L-Y-I-N-G. The same applies to another verb like tie. If you tie something, like you tie your shoelace in order for the shoe to become tighter, in order not to be too loose on your foot or to your foot. Right. So another verb like tie, T-I-E. You see, it ends with the letter combination I-E. In order to add ing to it, you change the IE at the end of the verb into Y, and then you add the suffix ing. So tie, that's the bare infinitive or the base form, that's the original shape of the verb, tie, T-I-E. You change it into tying by changing the IE at the end of the verb into Y, and then adding the ing, meaning that tying is spelled T-Y-I-N-G. Right. So that was the past progressive or the past continuous. Now we will move on to the next or the second section of today's live lesson, and that's the difference between the past simple and the past continuous. But before we go on, I want to remind you not to forget to like the video. If you like the content I'm presenting to you, please like the video, interact with the content via sharing it or dropping a comment in the comment box, being a suggestion, a question, or whatever. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for our community to grow and for this content to reach more and more people. Right, so after we are done now with the explanation of the past continuous, we shall be moving on to comparing and contrasting the tense with another tense, which is the past simple. So, the main difference between the two tenses is that the past simple is used to refer to a whole action or a complete action that finished in the past, whereas the past continuous refers to an action that was going on, that was in its middle, that was in progress, that was underway. Underway means in progress, at a certain point of time in the past. For example, when you say, I cleaned my room yesterday. I cleaned my room yesterday. So in this sentence, we're using the past simple. We say, I cleaned the room yesterday. This means that I'm referring to the whole action of cleaning the room, and I'm saying that this action is finished. It doesn't extend until now, and it was finished yesterday. So when I use the past simple tense, I refer to an action that's finished, that doesn't continue or doesn't extend until now, and at the same time, I'm talking about an action as a whole, excuse me, as a whole. Whereas to use the past continuous in the very same 10 sentences, I can say, when dad arrived, I was cleaning the room. You see, so this one is in the past progressive or the past continuous. We say, when dad arrived, I was cleaning the room. So at that particular point of time, at that instance in the past, when dad came back home, at that point of time, at that moment, the action of cleaning the room was still going on, was still in progress, was still underway, meaning that I'm not referring to the whole action in this sentence. No, I'm referring to a certain point in the action. When dad arrived home, at that particular point of time, at that particular moment or instance, I was cleaning the room. So I'm talking here about a certain point in the action, which is what I was doing, which is cleaning the room, when dad arrived. So we use the past simple to refer to the whole action, which is finished and it doesn't extend or exist now. Whereas in the past continuous or the past progressive, we talk about a particular instance or a particular moment of time in the past at which the action was still underway or the action was still in progress. When we were explaining the past continuous in yesterday's live lesson, we said that the three main words or the three main time expressions used with the past simple are yesterday, ago, and also the word last. And last can be used with anything. You can say last night, last week, last month, last year. So last used with any other noun, yesterday and ago, these time expressions are used with the past simple tense. There are three main expressions or three main time expressions used with the past continuous on the other hand, and these are while, as, and when. While, as, and when. Let's have some examples. We can say, for instance, while I was taking a shower, the doorbell rang. While I was taking a shower, the doorbell rang. So the action which was in progress, the action which was still going on at that point of time in the past, was the action of taking the shower. During that action, the doorbell rang. So I'm saying here that while I was taking a shower, at that point of time, when the doorbell rang, I was taking a shower. As you can see, we have two clauses, two actions in the sentence. A background long action, which was still going on at that time, and that's expressed in the past continuous. And then another short, sudden action that interrupted it, and that's used in the past simple. Another example. As we were having dinner, the news arrived. As we were having dinner, the news arrived. So the long background action which was going on was the action of having dinner. As we were having dinner, that's an action in the past continuous tense because that's the long background action. And this action was interrupted, was cut by another sudden short action, which is the arrival of the news. So as we were having dinner, that's the past continuous long background action, the news arrived. As you can see, the interrupting action or the short sudden action is expressed in the past simple. As and while are synonyms, meaning that they can be used interchangeably. In this particular sense or context, you can use either while or as. They are synonyms. They have almost the same meaning. So you can say, as we were having dinner, the news arrived, or while we were having dinner, the news arrived. The two can be used interchangeably or as synonyms. Right. So this was a quick, concise, brief comparison between the two tenses. The past simple for an action that's finished, that doesn't extend to the present or continue until now. And when I use it, I refer to the whole action. The past continuous, on the other hand, refers to a particular or a certain point of time in the past during which the action was still in progress, the action was still underway, or the action was still in its middle, going on. That's why we put it in the past continuous or the past progressive, as you can see the name, progressive. So the action was still in progress at that certain or specific point of time in the past. So by finishing today's lesson, so this means that we have finished 4 tenses in this series of live lessons so far. We have explained the present continuous or the present progressive, the present simple, the past simple, and the past progressive or the past continuous. As we said in a previous live lesson, we have 12 tenses in English. So in this series, we'll be covering all of these tenses, of course, the 12. We have already finished 4 of them. Our next tense, which we are going to explain in our next live lesson, will be the present perfect. And that's one of the most important tenses in English that could be very confusing or perplexing for the learners or the students of the language. So stay tuned for our next live lesson, in which we shall be explaining the present perfect. And for now, I can say that we have covered these 4 tenses thoroughly. The 2 continuous tenses, present continuous and past continuous, also called or aka present progressive and past progressive. And we have also covered the present simple and the past simple. Stay tuned for our next live lesson, which will be covering the present perfect, as I said. And before I finish today's live lesson, I'd like to thank you very much for your attentive listening, for your attendance in our lesson today. Please don't forget to always interact with the content if it appeals to you. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos and share them. Leave your comments down there in the comment box. And also go to the community tab of the channel. You will find quizzes, you will find polls, you will find quick tips about the English language in general. Feel free to visit the community tab, take a look at the stuff there, and also interact with the channel as I'm asking you to, for our community to grow and for the channel to get bigger and its content to reach more and more people. Thank you very much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye.